What's going on, everybody? Hopefully, let me make sure my mic is picking this up. Yes, yes. So, I am working on this Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber here. This is from the Kenobi series. It's pretty close to done, and it will be for sale should you want to buy it. It could be yours. So, listen, let me get this hilt over here. Actually, let me just put it in its box. Well, hold on. What we're going to do, what we're doing today is I have to wire the connectors that go from here inside of the grenade up to the emitter up here, okay? So, I've already cut my wires. Where are they all? I just looked at them. See, this is what happens, right? Okay, I'm me. And yeah, this is just how it goes. All right, let's have a look. Here's one of them I know. And there should be a purple and an orange that aha. Okay. So, the connector that it's going to go on looks like this. It's pretty simple stuff, really, as far as, you know, getting the power across there. This is the part that will go in the emitter. I'll hold it up to the desk view camera here. Hopefully you can see it. So it's got some pogo pins and some LEDs that will light up, and all of the wiring takes place on the back. And then its counterpart is this guy down here in the microscope view. It looks like this right here. It's a little flat disc. Back looks like this. Anyway, the wiring goes in between them so that you can take the chassis out and the whole bit. Anyway, here's what we're going to do. I've got my hilt side one right here. Is that what I'd call it? This would be like the blade side one that's down here on this guy. Okay. And I had wire on this at one point, but I decided to go to a higher gauge. And I'm using 22 gauge wire for the mains, the actual current carrying conductors. Okay, and let me put these reading glasses on just to better safe than sorry. And then the data line is something smaller. It doesn't carry any real current. So what I'm doing right now is just trimming the end of the wires, stripping them, getting them real small. You don't need a lot sticking out. Like, that's a real easy mistake to make, to feel like you've just got to have a mile of bare wire to solder in, and you don't. The goal is good electrical connection and physically strong connection. That's all that matters. Alright, let's get the data line. The data line is just what tells it how many LEDs to turn on, speed of that whole animation and all that, color, so on and so on. Yeah, all right. Okay, well, let's do this. I got my soldering iron out here already. Now, a lot of times I would go and like really knock myself out in an effort to clamp my wires and all that, but It makes it a lot harder to get it in the camera for streaming, so we'll try it the old-fashioned way. I'm so glad I got this soldering iron. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, what should I use for my hot? Purple or yellow? Anybody? Let's make purple hot and yellow not. Actually, hold on. You know what? We're better than that. Let's look at something. Well, maybe we're not better than that at all, and that I lied. That's okay, too. Okay. Well, why don't we do this? Let's just pick one. Because it doesn't matter. It's not like it's some national electric code for lightsabers. We'll make purple hot and yellow not. How's that sound? All right. That's a lot of solder on there. Where's my solder removal tool? There it is. Oh my gosh, it's so hard for me to use this with my non-dominant hand. There. That's more like it. All right. Let's tin that up a little better. Okay. What did we say? Purple? Let me get that back under the microscope here. Yeah, I got this microscope on Wish. Or no, Temu. Shop like a millionaire. Yeah, you get what you pay for. But I mean, listen, it works, right? All right. How's that look in the picture? Me. I mean, it's fine, but there. This thing's focus range is rough to deal with. Anyhow, there's that. So next we want the minus. What we're going to do is I'll skip that terminal and go to that one right there. And yellow. Yeah, sounds like the kids are fighting. Sweet. All right. Sweet. That's a beauty. All right. And now data. Okay. Same deal. My kid's computer game crashed upstairs. I could hear him yelling. Hopefully the meltdown isn't getting ready to come along. Let me move this. Okay. Oh my gosh, every time I turn around, I can't find what I was holding in my hand. Here we go. That's what I need. This is the right piece, right? I don't feel like it is. Nope. There we go. All right. How's everybody doing, by the way? Thanks for dropping in here. Yeah, let me tin that up a little better. Yeah, my little dude is playing Roblox or something on this this old Windows Surface Pro that a buddy of mine gave me. It's it does the best it can. Anyhow. I don't know what it is about this soldering iron tip, but ever since I got it, every time I touch it to something, when you pull it away, it leaves like this little horn of solder. It's so annoying because I don't like it when my solder joints look like that. I'm going to change the angle of this one a little bit. I know what you're thinking, but Eric, does it really matter? No, not at all. As a matter of fact, I'm just wasting my time. But, you know, like mentally in my head, I'll know that it's in there pointing at a slight angle that I don't find aesthetically pleasing, even though nobody will ever in a trillion years look at it. Beauty. Okay. Got that part done. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to bust this thing out of here. Like so. Pardon this super bright hot spot of light. And, oof. So, see how this works? Those terminals just connect to the top of this. It is hotter than fire currently. Luckily, I'm holding on to it with my bare hands, and it feels amazing. Okay. Now I can't go ahead and solder the other end on because it has to pass through the neck of this thing, right? So what has to happen is this will go into its holder, slide through the hilt, pop out of the emitter, right? Anyhow, that's how it's going to work, hopefully. Hopefully. I'm assuming this is going to go well. I have every reason to believe that it should. So, we'll find out, though. I wonder what's going on up there. Sounds like everything's out of hand. Anyhow, all right. So let's get the holder. The name of this hilt, by the way, is the Desert Wanderer. I got it from my pal Randy, corbanth.com. And, you know what, I can turn my soldering iron off. Where is the switch? I bought this new earlier this year and haven't used it enough to know it all by feel. Anyway, got two pieces to this. We got, this is the side that goes in the emitter. It's the skinny one. Actually, let me just turn off the light to the microscope. That'll help. There. The part that goes in the emitter is the thinner one. The part that goes on the inside of the hilt is this taller one. Okay. So a lot of times, well, wait, here's what we're going to do first. Here's our hilt, yes. We're going to make sure that this is plenty long to go from, say, here and stick out of the top. And it is. You know, I mean, it'd be a lot easier if I had miles of wire up here. Why don't I? Because I got to be able to hide it all and have it actually be all the way in the bottom of that. There's no, like, secret way to get in there and pull it down. So you got to try to get it as close as you can where you can still work on it, right? So what I'm going to do first is make sure that this fits in here. And the way this is printed, there's a shelf. Can you see it? A shelf in there that, oh my gosh, my dog's got the zoomies. So, oh yeah, perfect. You hear that very satisfying click as it goes in. Now, here's the deal. Do I need to glue it? Yes. I mean, the thing is, it will hold on its own, but if I don't, and as I start to twist the wire to get to hide the excess, it'll pop out of the bottom. And boy, would that suck once it's all together, because yeah, there's not really a good way of getting it in. So, all right, here we go. Let's do this. If anybody has a trick for E6000 glue to where the whole end of it doesn't get so gunked up that it's impossible to get out every time you want to use it, I would love to hear your secrets. Please show me the way. Yeah, get some real viable glue here. Okay, so what I want to do is make sure that there's plenty of glue on the underside of this and the edge of this to sit down in there. So I'll just do exactly what you're imagining I'm going to do. I'm going to plop some on here. The nice thing about E6000 is it cures like rubber cement. If you ever get in over your head with it or anything, listen, it's going to come right off. It's nothing that a little heat and a little force, a little acetone can't fix. But, ugh. See, that's the other thing I hate about E6000. It's very hard to control sometimes when you're trying to do precision work like this. But anyway, see, I got some on this, and I would really rather that not be on there. That's fine, because once it's dry, I'll just rub my finger on it and it'll come off. All right, there. So we got that. Let's go ahead and clean as much of this wet glue off as we can. Now on this particular saber chassis, the inside part and the outside part, the chassis part, they're the same diameter. On other ones, the part that's on the inside of the hilt are bigger around. Yeah, bigger around. There, let's try that. And so on this one, you really have to use some sense, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that you get the right one in the into the hilt and the right one into the emitter of the saber. And basically what it amounts to is the emitter of the saber needs to be the thin one, because you need as much of the blade as possible to sit in there. But hey, everybody just joining, I appreciate it. I'm working on this lightsaber. Nick, I don't know if you mentioned this, but it could be yours. I do have to warn you that lightsabers are addictive. If you get one, you'll want more. Just kind of how it goes. But the way I make them, the hardware is there's the resist. Okay, if you don't know about this, there has to be a resistor on the data line to make sure that it's just for like electrical noise. You don't have to have a blade that has one, because when I make them, all the componentry I use, it's got a resistor on the data line all the way out to the emitter. So you could buy several sabers and only need the one blade, unless you're going to use them all at one time, like General Grievous. Now I can make sabers in other configurations too. It doesn't have to be a pixel blade. You know, if you'd rather have like a traditional baselit saber, so you can like wail on people with it. They tend to be a little more resilient in that respect. All right. Yes, yes. Anyway, you see what this looks like now, right? Well, the part that goes up into the hilt and touches this is this guy right here. And that spring-loaded part, it's the exact same thing that's going to be in the end of the hilt. But anyway, let's see if I can get an angle that makes sense. It's going to mate with this, like so. Pretty dope, huh? All right. Let's do this. We're going to have to dismantle this somewhere so we can glue this in. This is a tricky part. Be honest, it's this is the part of saber building that can be frustrating. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this right here. Okay. Now on some long neck sabers, what would happen, as a matter of fact, like on the Obi-Wan Kenobi original trilogy, or A New Hope hilt, this whole thing screws out of this grenade section. It's much easier. But here all you have is this blind hole. Here, hold on. That didn't help much, but you just got that blind hole. So you have to make sure that the base of that is all the way up in there. Because if it's not, once you try to put your chassis in later, it's not going to fit. It won't be able to go in far enough, and the buttons won't line up with the buttons. Oh my gosh. Let me turn this microscope off. I'm sorry. The buttons won't line up with the buttons on the hilt and now all of that. And we can't have that, obviously. All right, let's put these pieces away. All right. First thing we're going to do is dry fit it. I cannot stress the importance of that enough. I mean, I could go ahead and slop glue all over it right now. But if I get in there and find out that there's a burr on that plastic somewhere and it won't go all the way down, I'm going to be real sad. Okay. Now, you can't see this very well, I know, with the light. But I can tell that that's all the way up against there. And that's what I need it to be. Okay, so that's perfect. So now, I'm just going to push this back out. We're going to slap some glue on the bottom of this. And I'm only going to put it on the bottom. I'm not going to put it around the sides. I mean, it's not like a press fit in that hole. So glue will end up around the outside of this. But I don't need it to be any more than it has to be. Because this part is going to be held in with a certain amount of pressure whenever the saber's together. Just from that chassis that we just looked at, pressing up on it the whole time. All right, and obviously the excess glue on this is going to end up on there. Okay. Man, oh man, glue is nasty feeling. All right. Naturally, as soon as you get that glue on it, it doesn't want to go down there. It's easy. Ah, yes, it's all the way in. That's what she said. Okay. That wasn't very mature of me. So what I'm going to do, this is the chassis. And I don't have the little guide screw that goes in there right now. That's okay. I'm going to use this just to make sure that it's seated as far as it needs to go. It's in my way. How's it going, everybody watching? Thanks for hopping in here. If you got any questions, throw them in the chat. I mean, I'm not going to answer them. I'm just going to make fun of you. I'm kidding, sort of. Let me move this and pay attention to what I'm doing here. There we go. All right, so I'm pushing up against the thing with the chassis. Now, what I want to do is, since I've already got this completely done, the chassis, and it's all wired and working,
I will do what I must.
Is I'll make sure, yeah, that the buttons line up. And they do. So I know that the chassis, or the inside of the hilt part, made it all the way down like it's supposed to. So hooray for that, right? It doesn't need a lot of clamping pressure, so it's so flat. So now that I know that it's pressed in there really good, I'm going to pull this back out. Come on. The reason I'm being so gentle with this right now is that inside the chassis, or on the chassis, is this milled groove. Well, it's not milled, it's cast. It's printed that way. And what will be in here is a screw that rides in that groove that keeps you from having it turned too much one way or the other, right? Well, I don't have that in there right now because it's not done. So just gotta be gentle. But ultimately, when these sabers are complete, they're pretty resilient. So the next thing that'll happen is, where's that neck? I'm going to go ahead and screw it in just so you can see what it's going to look like. Now here, I'm actually going to take this off. Sorry, I need to pick a camera to point at. I'm going to take the emitter cup off, just because it's got the smallest hole. That way I can pass these wires through it closer. All right, let's get this screwed on. Okay, so see, got this in here. How's that look? Does that look good? All right. And then I can put this cup in. Thread it on in there. And honestly, I ended up with way more wire sticking out than I expected to. And which is fine. That's absolutely fine. I can obviously just cut it off. I want to have as little as possible because I have to hide all this excess in this. And you saw, I mean, there's not much forgiveness in there. So let's close this up. Okay, so now we can try to go ahead and solder the other end on because that's been pressed in there tight enough for the glue to cure. It's not like it's going to take off on me. So I think what I'll do is I'll try to trim the wires a little closer to the edge. Not much, I mean, because here's the deal. Once it's too short, you're done, son. You're done. But let's have a look. Okay. It doesn't leave me much, but that's all right. That's ultimately what I want, right? I'm gonna go ahead and trim these. That helps to know what gauge of wire you have, and luckily I do. Don't need much. I don't know if you can see that in this camera shot, but yeah, I don't need much bare wire. How much do you need? Enough. I don't have a better answer than that. Anybody who's like, ooh, I bet this is getting ready to be an amazingly precise answer. Yeah, I'm sorry to disappoint you. All right. Oh my gosh, reading glasses. That's where it's at. Guess what happens when you're 1,000 years old? Actually, I need just a little bit more of that yellow. There. Okay. So, one thing that's real sad right now is I'm sitting here thinking, what color did I decide to make the positive DC voltage? And I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't remember. But it does matter that I get it right. What I have to do first is I got to take my connector that I'll be putting on here, which was this guy. And I got to make sure it fits in this. And it needs to be snug, but if you can see this, let me try to hold it up close. Let it autofocus on it. Come on. If you can see the part that's closest to the camera that my face is in. Oh my gosh, come on there. See that like chewed up perf section. That's where they're wafers and they have them all together. And that part sticks out a little bit, and that's where it's going to fight you trying to get it in there. And you want to make sure it fits ahead of time, because if you don't, you'll be in trouble. So I'm just going to sand the edge of this off. Doesn't take much, just enough to get the rough edge off. It depends. Like for these, they've been pretty much the same because of the they're all like long neck sabers, and so I end up with a lot of the same stuff in it just because of the configuration of them. For example, in these, I've got this chassis that's removable and the battery's removable and all that. And so because it's this long neck, it ends up having actually a lot more connection components. Ultimately, like the way they work is all the same. You know, it's they're all just variations on a theme. You've got this connector that is that lights up, which is cool. This is a fairly new thing. For the longest time when I build these, they didn't have this. That has LEDs right on it, which I love so much. Because now what that means is I don't have to make a plug that goes in the blade that has LEDs in it so that people can have it sitting there without the blade in it and still let it light up. So this is a beaut. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that whoever designed this, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me push this down in there. There. Okay. So that fits in real tight. So the question becomes, do I... oh, that's a good question. I kind of thought it would be, but honestly, no. If I were to get tons of parts ahead of time, like a ton of them, and be able to get a discount on the pieces from the guys who make them, then maybe. But like when you see the price that you can get a completely built saber for, like whenever I sell it for that same price, I end up making nothing. If my time is worth anything. And, you know, maybe that means my time's not worth anything. I don't know. But, yeah. So here is the answer to my own question I was just getting ready to say, is I was trying to decide, do I glue this piece in to the blade holder first and then wire it and then this pop this in? The answer is a firm no. What I want to do is, but I do need to have this in there, just not glued down. And the reason for that is if I try to spin these wires to shorten them and get them to go down in the thing while it's only hooked to this and then have it land in there and pop in, no buys. It will never work in a million years. But okay, so now what we have to do is remember which one of these did we do. Hawk, that is for sure, man. Yeah. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. How can I find out without? I'm not taking this all apart. I absolutely refuse to do that. What I could do is stop the stream. That's what the smart move would be, to stop the stream and go back and look and see. But in my head, I'm like, well, there's no way I'll forget. But you know what? Let's try this. Oh, you know what we could do? No, that's a terrible idea. Forget I said anything. Why is it every time I turn this meter on, it tells me the battery's low? This thing must go through batteries like nobody's business. Alright, where's an alligator clip? I'll tell you what, if I did this all the time and had all the parts I needed on hand all the time, I could probably do a little better with it. I happen to enjoy it, and so there's a certain amount of, I don't know, it makes it worth it, I guess, what I'm trying to say. Okay, what I'm going to do is I am going to see okay. Boy, I can't see a thing in there. Okay, so it looks to me like purple is minus. Is that right? That doesn't feel right. Okay, well, let's just say that it is, though, and that yellow is plus. I can't tell where it's touching. God, how did I do this? Hang on. I'm sorry. This is going to be super bright and annoying, but I cannot get this wrong. Ugh. Okay. It sure seems like that's on the negative. Okay, I give up. I can't tell. What if I do this? Yeah, let's do one that's been wrecked, like this one. Of course, it fell in the wrong side up. And again. Oh, Charlie, good, nice. Startled me. You know what? We're smarter than this. Hold on. Here's how we'll do it. If this is all the way in there, does that stick out enough? It does indeed. Okay. So okay, right now I've got it on what? Purple. Let's take that off. Very good. Why isn't it? Is it on hold or something? Well, it just doesn't like all that circuitry being in the way. That's alright. Whatevs. Well, obviously all I have to do is wait until I'm done streaming and go look and see what I did. So, so what I've got going on is whenever I wired the inside part, I said to myself, I'll make this color the positive lead and this color the negative lead. And now I've got it glued in there and I can't remember which one was which. So what I was trying to do is just reach in there into the connector and with my multimeter and just check it for continuity. But whenever I get the lead down in there, it's impossible to tell. Yeah, this was a dumb move on my part. It's impossible to tell which part of this concentric circle connector that my meter lead is touching. And because you know the size of this, if it was like a needle, I could tell, but I can't. So hang on. I really feel like that's the positive and that the yellow is the negative. Let's see. It's super hard to tell. Yep, it is. Good. I'm glad I stuck it out. All right. Let's put this out the way. Get off of there. Okay. This is off, right? Yeah. Okay. So now, what we got to do is solder this on. What did I decide? Yellow is negative, right? Please tell me somebody heard me say it. I'm pretty confident that's what I said. All right. Let's do this. I probably won't be able to have this under the microscope whenever I solder this one. So let me just get it out of the way. Get this into some place you can see. So, as you can see, I left it to where there's barely any wire, just so it'll fit. All right. I'm going to let this heat back up, and we're going to tin this up, and we're going to do it. It's going to be awesome. So how's everybody doing? Are you watching this thinking, man, I should get into building lightsabers? Probably not, I'm betting. And I don't blame you if you're not. Trust me. Boy, I wish this would autofocus down here. There. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. What I really want to do is have my positive and negative leads approach like at an angle like this. I don't know if you can see it from there. Anyway, I just got to concentrate on doing a good job, so I'll try to show it up close once I'm done here. Okay, solder. Okay, so what I got, actually maybe I can do this. I can at least do this part. So here's the connector. And so the outside pins you can see are positive, plus, and then the middle, it's got all those pads around it, are the minus. Let's tin the soldering iron. All right. And then like so, right? Does it look good? So now we did say yellow was negative, right, kids? We'll find out real quick if I'm wrong whenever I go to put it together. Okay. So if you're never soldered, or if you haven't done a ton of it, soldering is a lot like cutting wood. Measure 100 times. So you only have to cut it once. Because when it comes out wrong, there's not much you can do after the fact. Alright, so let me see if I can get this. Now there's not much room to work on here. And because I'm working with 22 gauge wire, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, 22 gauge wire is not huge by any stretch of the imagination. But I mean, you know, in comparison to these solder pads, it's a decent enough size. That's why it's important to use like mil spec wire, because it's got the thinnest jacket. Hold on. Sorry, I gotta... Alright. because you can see where just being off a little bit, landing solder in a spot you didn't want, it's going to be the difference between it working right and the board being, having a short between your plus and minus. All right, I'll shut up for a second. Whoops. Excellent. Okay. Sorry, I know it's kind of hard to see. My hands are totally in the way of what I'm doing here. Well, that is not what I wanted to do. Meaning hold this in my hand in free air and not have it clamped at all. Ouch. Yeah, it's not going to work. I got to get a better angle on this. Cool. Now all I got is the data line. Where's my needle nose pliers? My good ones. The super needly ones. Here they are. All right. Now remember when I was talking about the resistors, one of the cool things is that on this particular connector, there's two resistors on it. One for the data line that is feeding like the outside circle of the blade itself, and then the other one is the data line for the onboard LEDs. And there's a resistor for each one. The guy who came up with this is a hero. Okay. All right, let's see if we can get this without burning my eye off. Beauty. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Let's turn this off. So let me see if I can get this under the microscope here. So you see the resistors flanking either side of that spot where I put the orange wire on. And then my negative wire, it looks like the wire's sticking off further than you think, but it's because of those pins. And then there's my plus. It's a beauty. All right, well, let's see. Did I get it right whenever I said that which one was positive and which one was negative? Well, I know a way to find out. Let's get this chassis out. Let's pop it in there. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn this on.
Hello there.
And see what happens when I light it up. It worked. I'm not holding the chassis in good enough. Neat. All right, we did it. All right, guys. That's about all I can do for right now. I've got to wait for that glue inside to fully cure so that I can glue this part down. And then it's practically ready to be done. So thanks for hanging out. And yeah, hopefully I'll be back this week to finish this up. And if you want to buy this saber, it could be yours. Just get a hold of me. We can work out a deal. If it was just some rando off the street, I'd say $800 with a blade. But for you, $795. So somebody's giggling at me. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. And yeah, hopefully I'll be back to do some more of this. Seriously, I super appreciate it. You guys are the best. See ya.